So I'm going to introduce Jack to you. None of our Access students are ordinary students. They're all extraordinary, and Jack is no exception. He has demonstrated such extraordinary commitment. He has a learning difficulty. He suffers from dyslexia. Not only that, but some mental health difficulties too. And his circumstances when he began Access seemed very even. Then I read his first essay, and it moved me to despair. And I thought, what are we going to do here? Jack took it on the chin, the criticism, the constructive criticism, and he really, really began to work. Not only to learn the subjects that we had on offer, but to learn to read academically, to construct an essay. And while all this is going through, Jack's life began to fall apart. There was a bereavement, there was a marriage split, and a loss of access to his children. There was homelessness, and all of the things that go around that. The lack of anywhere to go to sleep is just a small part of it, but the lack of somewhere to wash and eat comes into it too. And watching Jack come in each day and fight his way through all of these barriers was an extremely humbling experience. The bodies that try to help people in Jack's situation put their own regulations on it. So he couldn't come to some lessons because he had to be at a certain place at a certain time to guarantee a bed for the night or a meal at tea time. And he fought his way through it. He came out with excellent results and a wonderful place at university and a guaranteed future. And Jack himself has built that future, inch by inch, clawing himself through the Access course. He has been an absolutely amazing student, and it's been a tremendous privilege to be part of his journey. So thank you, Jack.
It's actually really strange when you actually put it all out in front of you, when you actually look at it and think, how the heck did I do last year? I didn't want to think about what I succeeded with and what I actually survived last year. I wanted to more focus on how the Access course did change my life. And it did. The Access course changed my life twice in my entire life. 20 years ago, my mum went through similar circumstances with 4 kids after my dad left. She went through an Access course, survived university, and one thing she said to me consistently, and I remember one night particularly where she had to hand her dissertation in, and she was there, she hadn't slept in a few nights, and she was crying, and I went downstairs and spoke to her, and one thing that helped me survive last year is one thing that she used to make me say to myself all the time as a kid, and that's never let fear limit who you are. And every single day, I remember, like Leslie mentioned, there was one particular moment where I had to choose between going into college and having a place to eat, sleep, and wash my clothes. And by this point, my lucky backpack that's over there was so full with clothes, I was carrying it around to college, there was barely enough room for books left. And it was just something I kept repeating to myself, and it's to never let fear limit who I am. Now, my mum went on to be a teacher, much like Leslie. And of course, the second part of the Access course changing my life is with Leslie. Now, I remember it took me 2 or 3 weeks to actually admit to Leslie that I was homeless. I remember it quite clearly. I knew that she knew that something was going on. It's amazing, you put somebody in a teaching position for like 20 years and they start to become psychic. Anyway, I eventually admitted it, and all she did was hug me. She didn't need to give me advice, she didn't need to give me guidance or a lecture or what to do, she just supported me. And that's the next part that really changed my life. So what I'd like to say in the sort of closing sort of statements is that these 2 principles became clear to me with the great support of 2 amazing educators. Is A, like I keep saying, never let fear limit who you are. and B, accept the help that is there. Now, the one thing that I taught myself during this ordeal, what combined with these things, was that it's in our darkest moments that we are open to the greatest change. And I feel like as true educators, like my mum, like Leslie, and like I'm sure many of the tutors in front of me today, they're there to inspire, to help grow and to facilitate the needs and changes that we as mature students and as people who have been thrown away from the educational system need. And I'm so thankful that A, that CAVA supported me, and B, that the Access course is there to begin with, because it's changed not just the lives of your students, but the lives of their children, their grandchildren, and their families forever, because they see that education works. Thanks.